Everyone, Austin here again with a quick play. Today we'll be playing through Star Soldier Vanishing Earth for the Nintendo 64. This is an official Star Soldier game. It's actually a part of the long-running Star Soldier series, but it's one of the ones in the series that I'd say probably not a lot of people have actually really messed around with. It's often seen as a mediocre shoot-'em-up, not too terribly exciting. It didn't get great reviews back in the day, though then again, not many shmups actually did, as a lot of consumers were moving on from the genre by the late 90s. This actually came out in 1998, and yeah, even a lot of the great PlayStation shoot-'em-ups just kind of got lambasted back in the day because it's not what people were looking for, not the average individual anyway. I was still playing shoot-'em-ups a lot in that time period, and I actually ended up really enjoying this game, and it's actually been one of my most played shoot-'em-ups over the last 20 plus years. What I really like about this game is that it's just really easy to pick up and play. It's not too horribly challenging. This game dishes out extra lives like candy on Halloween. It's honestly, it's kind of appealing to look at. It's one of those polygonal shoot-'em-ups that has a lot of like cinematic camera angles and stuff like that, which is something I actually kind of miss about the early days of 3D polygonal shoot-'em-ups. And it also dishes out tons and tons of points, and it's kind of an interesting scoring system, and it's just fun. I love the soundtrack as well. It's very catchy and memorable in my opinion, and one thing that's cool is that it actually saves all your progress to the cartridge, and it keeps your war career, and you know, it keeps your scores for each mode, including what difficulty that mode has been played on. So there's actually a lot of replay value in this just based on that alone. You even have 3 secret stages you can try to unlock, which are accessed via a particular manner, which I'll sort of explain once we start playing the game. And it's just a good time. You know, it's not like a hardcore player's shoot 'em up, but I feel like it's one that everybody can appreciate if they actually put the time into it and learn it and actually, you know, play through the game and not just play a level or two and that's it. But yeah, we're gonna try to go through the whole game. I'm going to try to explain some of the boss fights and just kind of what I do when I'm playing the game, and hopefully we can actually beat the final boss within time. If you don't, you actually get a bad ending. So this even has multiple endings, which is pretty cool. Kind of rare for some shoot-'em-ups from this time period. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here. But first, we're in the options menu. This is actually kind of important to go through. One of the big things is you want to go to the button config, and you want to make sure that movement is set to control pad. I want to say it actually defaults to control stick, so you can actually use the D-pad or the analog stick, but you have to actually change it in the options menu for it to function. Rolling is also the D-pad, not the D-pad, sorry, it's the R button. This is actually a really important function. It makes you invincible for a split second, and it also reflects bullets back at enemies. So you always want to have your finger up there on the R button, although apparently you can change what that button is. Rapid fire, you also want to leave on. This game is not designed for no rapid fire, so leave rapid fire on. There is a lot of enemies coming at you on screen. You have sound options and stuff like that. You've got difficulty settings. I would recommend playing this on regular. Beginner is probably a little too easy, but if you're really a shmup noob and you're absolutely terrible at the genre, and you even tell yourself you're terrible at the genre, maybe beginner would be a good place to start, but we're going to play this on regular. There is a master difficulty. I don't know if you unlock one higher than that. I don't think I've ever actually completed master, but I should try that sometime soon. But we're going to leave it on regular. And again, it tracks your scores. This 2 minutes mode is actually one of the Caravan modes in this game, which is a callback to the classic Star Soldier games, which had these timed modes, again called Caravan modes. And you've got a 2 minutes mode, and you have a 5 minutes mode, and your scores are saved for each one. And then you've got beginner difficulty leaderboards. You've got your regular leaderboards, as you can see. That's the one I've played the most. And then master. I haven't even played master, apparently. So, but yeah, it saves all your stuff. It's really great. And from back in the day, you could actually write down your score passwords and submit them to a website. And so there were actually online leaderboards back then, and a few other shoot 'em ups did this back then, where they would give you a password, you'd punch it into a website, and then you would, you know, be ranked on the website. So pretty cool. War career, this tells you how many times you've played. Apparently on my flash cart here, I've played it 26 times on the normal mode. And I have played this game a lot more than just 26 times, because I did own the actual cartridge back in the day, and I would revisit it quite frequently. I also had the Japanese version for a while, and, you know, so that would save its progress individually. So I've played this game quite a lot over the years, and if you want to reset all the data, you can just do backup clear, but we're not going to do that. So, also, if you beat the game, you actually get a alternate title screen that will pop up, which is kind of cool. So that's pretty neat. And you can also do mission select if you want to practice specific levels. Some levels are, I think, a little more difficult than others, or a little bit trickier than others. Let's go ahead and hit that start button. We got demonstration mode here, and we're going to go ahead and hit normal mode and go ahead and jump right into the game. So you actually have 3 different ships to pick from. If you want just raw power, the blue ship is the way to go. Its max firepower is just going to rip and tear through just about everything you see. However, scoring is a little more difficult with it, and I'll kind of get into that as we progress through the game. The green ship has a wide spread shot, although it is a little bit on the slow side, so it's kind of my least favorite ship in this game, but it might actually be pretty good for scoring because of the massive spread shot. Also, we've got the red ship, which is kind of like your classic Star Soldier ship. It's got its classic spread shot, like in the older games. However, it's even larger in this one. So, I actually recommend playing as this. This is like a good crutch ship, especially for scoring, because of how the scoring works. And again, I'll explain that in a minute. Now you'll notice on the right hand side, it's telling you your controls and stuff like that. So before you pick a ship and jump into it, you want to check out your controls, because the controls are a little unconventional. You do have a speed up and speed down button, which is C down, and then again, rolling is the right button, or the R button. Used to call them right buttons, as modern console controllers label them as. So you've got normal attack, which is A. You have a bomb, which is kind of like a screen clearing bomb, which is B. However, you have a second bomb, which is the L button, and that is more of like a focused bomb. So, you know, you do want to keep those in mind. The focused bomb is extremely powerful, and so you're going to be using that probably more often than your screen clearing bomb. But when you jump into the game, you don't want to just be mashing buttons, because you will bomb by accident and waste your bombs. You can carry up to 3 bombs, regardless of the ship that you're playing as. So let's go ahead and hit OK, and go ahead and jump into this level. Now again, kind of like I had mentioned before, you know, this is a polygonal shoot 'em up, and as with a lot of earlier polygonal shoot 'em ups, they tried adding a bunch of cinematic camera angles and stuff like that. So every level has its own little introduction, and every level also has its own outro as well in a lot of cases, and it's very cool. Now C down speeds you up. For the red ship, I actually recommend being on the high speed setting, pretty much for the whole playthrough. Now you can switch to your own liking, but there are a lot of enemies that come out really quickly, and there are a lot of bullets that come out as well, and you want to just be able to react quickly. Now, speaking of reaction, you'll notice that the frame rate in this game, by shoot-'em-up standards anyway, is not great. It's probably 30 frames a second, maybe even a little bit lower than that, which is not ideal for a Twitch-based game. However, that said, this is not a game where you're going to be doing a lot of fine-tuned dodging. Star Soldier Vanishing Earth, it's more about just positioning yourself in a specific spot, or killing stuff fast enough so they don't really do anything to you, or using your rolling function. And you do that by pressing the R button. And now what's really cool about that is it makes you invincible, and it also reflects bullets back at enemies. Now the bullets themselves, they do a little bit of damage to enemies from what I understand, but you're not really reflecting like in Gigawing to do actual damage to enemies. In this, you're mostly reflecting to survive. Now, the scoring system is actually kind of interesting, because a lot of different things in this game give you points, and at the end of each level, all your scores are tallied up. All the bombs that remain in your inventory, they get calculated as bonus points. All the lives you have get calculated as bonus points. Your chain combos get calculated as bonus points. How many times you roll even gets calculated as bonus points. So every time I roll, it's actually increasing my end of level bonus. It's pretty crazy. Rolling is beneficial in more ways than one. You get points for it, but you're also invincible, and you also reflect bullets back at enemies, which can do a little bit of extra damage. But this game really does rely on its rolling functionality. There are many boss patterns later on in the playthrough that pretty much require you to roll. If you don't roll or use a bomb, you will die. And unfortunately, I don't have this game memorized to a T like I may have at one point in time. And so we are going to die on this playthrough, probably several times. However, by the end of stage 2 or 3, I will probably have 9 lives. That's the maximum amount of lives that you can have in this game. And so, just regardless of how many times I die, we're probably going to get through this whole thing without too much trouble. Gonna go ahead and just use a bomb right here, and that was my focused bomb with the L button. But there we go. So now as far as the scoring system's concerned, there is like a chain combo system. You'll notice in the top left-hand portion of the screen when we're playing, as I'm attacking enemies, a meter fills up to a blue state. And you'll notice that there's a counter. As long as I'm hitting enemies within a certain time period, that counter keeps building. And then if there's a big gap between when I'm hitting enemies and when I'm not, that blue bar drains, and then basically the value resets. I get awarded the amount of points that the number tells me that I'm gonna get, and then I can start a new chain combo just by starting to shoot more enemies. And so that is a big part of the scoring system, and again, you also get awarded a bonus for that at the end of each level, which is quite nice. So this game is really big on points, and it's really fun. I kind of really appreciate how absurd the scoring system is in this game. And if you really wanted to push it, you could by memorizing the levels and sort of lightly tapping your fire button just to keep the combos going, in between those little stretches where you don't really have enemies popping out. I never got that hardcore into this game. Honestly, point pressing and competing for high score at a very serious level is honestly a little frustrating. It really takes a specific kind of individual to take a game that far. But yeah, it's still fun. Just trying to get your largest combos is still fun. So this little green E icon is actually your bomb. Now there's also a gimmick right here. We've got 5 pillars, 4 are green, and then 1 is red. If we kill all the green ones and then destroy the red one, boom, this door opens up, and this is an alternate pathway. There's 3 of these over the course of the game. Now, I'm not going to be able to show off the other ones because I have not successfully gotten them anytime recently. I did figure them out back in the late 90s when this game was still relatively new, and I had a lot more time in the world since I wasn't really working and I was still in high school. But yeah, it adds a lot of replay value. I love having alternate routes in games like these, and if you're trying to score really high for some odd reason and you're trying to just push your score as far as you can go, you absolutely 100% want to play these bonus levels. It's 3 full stages with bonus calculations and all that stuff, and more combo potential and more boss fights and things like that. So if you're trying to get the biggest score possible on this game, you need to try to access these bonus levels. But they're also just fun to access because they're cool. They're actually pretty decent levels and they're entertaining. I think one of the bonus levels might even be it's been a while since I've been to it, but it might even be a throwback to the classic Caravan modes in the older Star Soldier games. Now, depending on how I feel at the end of this video, I might even just play the 2 or 5 minute Caravan mode just to kind of show you what it's like. There are some different scoring elements in the Caravan mode that you don't have in the main game, which is kind of interesting. Now, speaking of, you know, other scoring options, there are some others that I haven't even touched on. You do get bonuses for, say, killing 2 enemies at the same time. And there's other stuff like that. So if you look on the left-hand side of the screen, you'll notice that there's some white text that pops up, and it'll usually like have like a really short jingle that plays along with it. And basically what that is it's telling you the kind of bonuses that you're getting. And these like 2-for-1 deal bonuses were also in some of the older Star Soldier games as well, at least in the Caravan modes. So, but we have those in the main game here, which is really cool. So, all right, we're going to be going to our first special stage.
Special Mission 1. Destruction.
The spaceport is under attack. Please give assistance.
Yep, end of level 2, we've already got 9 lives. So, now when you do die in this game, I believe your EX ability actually resets. I think it resets back down to 1. So if you think you're gonna die, you should probably use a bomb. It does make you invincible for a short period of time. You don't want those EX abilities to go to waste. I'm just gonna call them bombs for the rest of the playthrough. So again, just using my reflect or my roll function as much as I can. Allows me to get some extra bonus points at the end of each level, but it also allows me to survive a little bit easier. And instead of focusing on dodging, again, like I said, you're not going to be doing a lot of fine-tuned dodging in this game, like a lot of shoot-em-ups from this time period. You're going to be mostly rolling into bullets for safety. Now, if you're maxed out on firepower or your bombs, you will get bonus points for picking up those icons, and those icons just constantly come down the playfield. There are no, like, power-up canister enemies in this game. You just wait for the power-ups to just come down from the top of the screen, and they're constantly coming down. They even come down in boss fights, which is great. Now, one thing that's not so great in this game is if you die a bunch of times, you get heavily downgraded on your firepower, and it takes a while to get powered back up, and when you're stuck on a boss fight with your tier 1 level 1 shot, it can be a little frustrating trying to kill the boss with just like a tiny little twin shot that's basically doing nothing. It's the absolute worst with the blue ship, as its laser is just a single tiny laser that barely does any damage. Let's go ahead and just use a bomb here. And I'm going to go ahead and use another bomb, because this pattern right here is actually a little bit tricky. You can reflect some of these bullets, but man, those explosions are huge. Trying to play it relatively safe here. Go ahead and use another bomb. There we go. I don't really care about wasting all my bombs. I'd rather survive, so I chose survival over potentially losing a life. Again, fine-tuned dodging is really, really difficult in this game. As you saw there, those projectiles were quite large, you know, especially those explosions, and where they were going was very unpredictable. So, you know, my choice was to roll and to bomb at the same time. Again, using your bombs makes you invincible, which is actually quite nice. So you can use it as a survival mechanism.
Mission 3.
But on to Mission 3. So there are 6 normal missions in the game, and then there's a 7th, which is basically just a final boss. So we're a little bit close to the halfway point in the game. Or maybe not the halfway point if you're really good and able to actually get all 3 special missions. But that's not me. So now, those little introductions, you don't have to actually watch them, but I'm going to go ahead and let all of them play out because I think they're kind of cool. Yeah, so to access the secret missions, generally what you're supposed to do is when a specific enemy pattern comes up, and oops, we just died. That's okay, not a big deal. which the pattern actually just had popped up there, where you've got a series of red enemies and green enemies. And the idea is to kill the red enemies first. At least that is on stage 1. I assume it's the same way on all the other levels in the game, or the 3 moments where you can try to trigger a secret mission. And I did kill the enemies in what I thought was the right order, but it didn't trigger the bonus level for me, so we definitely missed our opportunity there. Now, one thing that's nice is when you get a game over, or even you beat the game, at the end of a gameplay session, it brings up a screen that gives you secret mission hints. So it doesn't just leave you wondering. It actually sort of teases you, like a carrot on a stick sort of thing. Like, ooh, on this level you can... Here's the hints to access the secret mission. And it's pretty neat, actually, that they do that. It's good game design. And it certainly made me want to play this game more back in the day when I was playing it on a much more regular basis, when the game was still relatively new. And when we get ourselves a game over here, either via beating the game or getting an actual game over, I'll be able to show you that hint screen. Now this guy likes to go behind you, so you need to stay at the top of the screen for a little bit. Oh! So your roll only lasts like a second, if that. And so what I ended up doing is rolling through the boss, but still landing on top of him. So that was my fault completely. Now, it's a little bit easier to do stuff like that. Like, if you're trying to roll through an enemy and come out and not touch the enemy, it's easier to do that with the blue ship, because its speed is so fast. At its highest speed, it's ridiculously fast. It's actually so fast that for the blue ship, I usually play most of the game on the low speed setting. Whereas the red ship here is the exact opposite. I generally play on the highest speed setting. Now you can actually reflect these balls back, which is nice. Oh, thought I could squeeze by that, but nope. Like I said, we will be dying on this playthrough. Although, I probably could have done more practice runs. I did a practice run last weekend, and then I did one just right before doing this playthrough. So I'm not as well practiced as I probably should be, but really it's not a big deal. Let's go ahead and just skip that bonus countdown there. It takes a little while sometimes. And that docking ship there is from the older Star Soldier games, which is pretty cool. Like I said, this is an official entry in the Star Soldier series. Now, unfortunately, there wasn't much more Star Soldier action after this game. There was a PS2 and GameCube sort of remake of the original, a polygonal remake of it. Hudson revisited a bunch of their classic franchises that sort of put them on the map in 3D form in the very early PS2, Xbox, GameCube era. You had a Bonk's Adventure remake, you had an Adventure Islands remake, you had a Star Soldier remake, and there were probably some others that I've completely forgotten about. And then I think there was a Wii Star Soldier game. I think that was actually, I don't remember if that was available physical. I feel like it was a one of those Nintendo Shop games, eShop games. But I don't think there's really been much else Star Soldier related since then, which is kind of a bummer. It's a long-running shmup series. One thing I love about this game is that they did really try to push the series forward in a different direction, and I think it actually worked out for it. I guess the game was trying to evolve with the genre. The shmup genre was evolving very, very quickly in the 90s in particular, especially the late 90s. And, you know, this was kind of doing a similar thing. Alright, here's our secret area, and I messed it up. I don't even know if you can bomb to successfully get it, but I tried, and it failed. I probably should have tried using my screen clearing bomb as opposed to my focused one. Reflect all those bullets back. As you can see, actually, having bullets, you know, reflected bullets collide with enemies doesn't really seem to do a lot of damage. But it is still kind of a fun mechanic, you know, being able to reflect bullets back. Now, there are some parts in this game, with the red ship in particular, and this probably goes for the green ship as well, is that it is a little difficult to actually kill certain enemies because of, you know, their attack patterns. Like these laser guys. I have to sit off to the side, but my side shot with the red ship is not all that great. It's a little bit weak. Ideally, what you want to do with the red ship is get right in front of an enemy and do what we call point blanking. It's a term for typically, you know, spread shots where you have all the bullets in your spread actually collide with the enemy, doing maximum damage. Now these arms can be blown off, so it's actually good to focus on these arms if you want to make this boss fight a little bit easier. Now one of them's going to pop out, do a laser, you just get to one corner of the screen, and the other one's going to do the same thing eventually. Now some of these bosses really like to come down to the bottom of the screen, and I was able to sort of, you know, predict that one and get out of harm's way. That's a total memorization thing. When I was in my practice session, I actually got killed many times by these bosses just coming down like that, catching me completely off guard. Oh, and this attack is probably one of the worst attacks in the entire game. It is very difficult to predict this. Actually, now that I think about it, it looks like it's just going clockwise. When you realize that pattern, I guess it's actually not that bad. It took me multiple playthroughs to figure it out, though. Alright, so that's mission 4. So we're actually kind of going through this game pretty quickly, which is kind of nice. But look at that. Player remaining, 9 lives. We have 4.5 million. EX arms, you get 1 million per EX arm left over. You got the rolling bonus, almost 1.5 mil for that. Attack bonus, 7 mil for that. It's huge points. Huge points. And every X amount of points you get, you also earn an extra life, which is why I'm still at 9 lives. Even if I lose some lives, the bonus countdown is going to give them back to me, basically. This is a great beginner's shoot 'em up because, you know, just doing moderately well, you're rewarded, and it just makes survival so much easier. So, if you're the kind of player that likes the genre, but you kind of avoid them because they're too difficult for you, this is a great, like, entry-level shoot 'em up. But what I like about it is it's still rewarding for experienced players as well. Like, how high of a chain combo can you get? You know, what's the max score you can get? Yes, it dishes out score like crazy, especially if you play well. But how far can you push that? You know, so it's a game that's fun for, I think, everybody. And so if you're watching this video and you've never seen this game before, which honestly wouldn't surprise me, when I streamed this on Twitch a couple times, I had so many people say, like, I have never even heard of this game before. You know, if I'm introducing this to you for the first time, for one, it doesn't surprise me, based on my experience with other people during streams and whatnot, but yeah, it's really fun, and it's a great, you know, great shooter that's got like a very low barrier to entry in terms of its difficulty. There we go, I got a simultaneous bonus, which again was for killing 2 enemies at the same time. And again, same thing. And one of the nice things about the simultaneous bonus is it doesn't literally have to be at the same time. There's a short window of opportunity where if you kill the other enemy, it'll actually award you that bonus. So it doesn't have to be perfect. Now the simultaneous bonus is definitely sort of built, I think, more around the spread shot ships, like the red ship and the green ship. A little bit harder to get simultaneous bonuses with the blue ship. Now, if I do a caravan mode, what I'll do is I'll play as the blue ship so you can guys see what that's like. Heck, maybe we'll even just do 2 Caravan. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Oh, it actually looks like my bombs didn't reset. So that was actually misinformation earlier. I think I had mentioned that when you die, your EX is reset to 1. Now, this is true if you have no EXs or no bombs. You will get 1 bomb back. So that's really important to keep in mind, especially in the final boss. But I thought that if you had 3 in stock, it would actually reset. So that's actually quite interesting. But this boss actually isn't too bad in terms of difficulty. These bombs are not too bad to avoid. Now, if you ever think you're gonna get hit by one of these guys, you know, like these arms that come out, just roll. You'll go right through them. And that laser also targets you, so you'll notice that I positioned myself in the top right, which allowed me to sort of bait it upwards, which made avoiding it much, much easier, and I was able to get a lot of free hits off on this guy. Here we go.
Mission clear.
Still have 9 lives. Massive points. The score just keeps building and building and building. Alright, and so this is our final regular level. There are actually 2 bosses on this level. And then once we beat this stage, we go to a 7th level, which is basically just like a boss rush.
Stronghold.
Maybe not even necessarily a boss rush, but it's one big boss fight with a bunch of different phases. Now, one thing I haven't really talked about is that you can actually use your rolling to your advantage. Like, say you've started attacking an enemy, but it's dive bombing towards the bottom of the screen, and you don't want to try to keep shooting it because it'll probably slam into you and you'll die. However, you can use your rolling to assist with trying to kill the enemy. You can basically roll and sit right on top of the enemy and do maximum damage, and there's a good chance you're going to actually kill that enemy as it's going off the screen. There are other instances where it's just beneficial to kind of sit right in front of an enemy, so you can use rolling to, say, get up close and point blank with, you know, relative ease and safety. Whoa there. Apparently picking up bombs actually cancels out your roll. Now, one little kind of interesting tidbit of history, and I completely forgot about this until recently, is that apparently there was a set of arcade hardware back in the day called the Alex 64, which was based on Nintendo 64 hardware. And a few of those arcade games on that hardware actually came to Nintendo 64. Star Soldier Vanishing Earth was actually one of them. Now, I have never experienced this hardware in person. If any of you guys have played any of the actual arcade games on that hardware, let me know your experiences with that. I tried looking up a quick YouTube video of Star Soldier Vanishing Earth Arcade. I only found one video that was basically, from what I could tell, emulated footage, and so I couldn't tell if it was like a proper representation of what the performance was like in the arcade version. But in that video, and take this with a grain of salt, because again, I've never seen the actual arcade game in person, is the frame rate looked a lot better. That could just be the emulator doing its thing, or if the arcade hardware is actually a little bit more powerful in some ways, and it benefits this game. I would really like to play the arcade version, because probably my biggest complaint about this game is the frame rate. You know, for these fast Twitch-based shooters, you really want the smoothest response possible. Yeah, if anyone has actually played one of those, let me know. I'd imagine it's pretty obscure. The arcade Star Soldier Vanishing Earth appears to have only been released in Japan. It's possible some, you know, arcades imported the hardware back in the day, and I died again. That's okay. It's possible some, arcade joints imported the hardware back in the day, but I'd imagine that was pretty rare if it did happen. You know, there's probably a couple arcades that actually ended up getting it. Oh, I did not expect that laser to turn like that. And here we are just losing lives. Now, as you start losing lives, you end up getting downgraded quite a bit. I went ahead and used a bomb, but apparently I was too late, and I ended up dying. So this is actually kind of bad. My run's going downhill really quickly. So getting downgraded in this game is actually quite painful. Alright, we're back up to, I think, close to full firepower again. I was down to 7 lives for a moment. Alright, this boss also likes to sort of dive bomb the bottom of the screen. And he's got these 4 arms that come out, and they have different patterns. Depending on the pattern that it is, it determines the position you want to be in. Down at the bottom of the screen, just like that. Alright, this one, homing lasers. And I just reflect like that. These ones, you can actually just sit up at the top of the screen, just like so. Lasers, this is a pretty easy pattern to avoid. Get to the opposite side, and you can sort of point blank. And rinse and repeat. Oops, I knew that was going to happen. Still have 7 lives. But again, we don't want to get too downgraded. Otherwise, it's going to make the next part of this whole boss rush... actually, this isn't the boss rush part. That's a separate level. More laser. The whole end of the game in this game actually kind of blends together for me. Because it's just one boss after another, after another, after another. And again, don't feel bad using your bombs in this game. This is one of those shooters where it's like, honestly, it's recommended for survival. Yeah, you miss out on a couple mil in bonus if you use them. But I'd rather take surviving and keeping my chains going than dying. Plus, as you can see, we're still getting tons of bombs coming down from the top of the screen. A little bit of dodging right there. I only dodge in this game, like through bullet patterns, if there's just a huge wide spread and there's a big gap between the bullets. Especially at my top speed here, which again, I don't recommend playing on anything lower than high for the red ship. Now, the higher the speed, the more your ship's going to jump across the screen as you tap the D-pad left or right. So you have to be really, really careful at high speed. But, like, that bullet pattern was pretty fast. I had to react quickly if I wasn't going to rely completely on my shield.
Final mission. The Earth.
3 seconds to go.
Alright, final stage. Now, we had to be really efficient on this boss, especially at the last part. This first part's kind of like the last fight we just did. It's similar. But again, he likes to come down to the bottom of the screen. You have to watch out for that. We're going to sit into one of the corners here for this pattern. We can just sit in the middle right here. Now he's coming down to the side. Just like that. We had to use our shield there, otherwise we definitely would have died. Corner again. It doesn't matter which corner. And you can reflect these if you want, but I find it's just easier to sit in the middle of the screen, a little bit safer. Corner? It's a pretty straightforward boss fight once you get the patterns down. It's the same patterns over and over and over again in a specific order. So you can totally memorize this, which is actually kind of nice. Alright, round 2. Now this guy likes to try to grab you with his hand. He also likes to shoot lasers out sometimes. And when he tries to lunge at me like that, I just roll right through him. Now when you see this little blue icon there, that is a shield. It's actually blocking your attacks. Yep, there's a laser. Now with really thin lasers like that, you can actually just dodge roll through them. I'm trying to save my bomb for the last part. Basically, that crystal's on the inside of him. And after we destroy this part, it's just you against the crystal. And the crystal is definitely the hardest part of this boss rush. I'm gonna call it a little boss rush, why not? It's 3 bosses back to back. Now, if I was playing with the blue ship, I would be doing a lot more damage. But again, with this red ship, it's easier to keep your chain combo going. Thanks to my my backwards shots. Now, since you can only carry a maximum of 3 bombs, if you see another bomb coming down on a boss fight, you want to go ahead and use it. That way you can maximize your bombs. Alright, last part.
Emergency message from Caravan 2. 2 minutes to limit of recovery. Please return to the ship immediately.
This boss is really all about positioning. And he also just does the same patterns over and over as well. So a lot of trial and error on this boss, but once you figure out the patterns, it's really not too bad. It's just about dishing out that damage so you can kill it within the time limit. You'll notice that there's a time limit now at the top of the screen. Got it. 44 seconds left. Sadly, because I hadn't played the game in a couple weeks, the last time I tried this, I actually lost to the final boss and got the bad ending. But we actually beat him in time, and so we ended up getting the good ending. What ends up happening is if you fail, the boss turns around and blasts... For one, he blasts you with a huge laser and you die. And then he turns around and blasts the planet Earth with all these crazy lasers, and the planet basically gets disintegrated. So everybody dies in the bad ending. Kind of morbid. But we've got the good ending. And with the good ending, you actually get a long credit scroll with a nice ending theme.
My tears of unfulfilled dreams to all the people who live, for the sacrifice of living in the void between the past and the future of this vast universe.
Although in typical Japanese style, it's still kind of a bittersweet ending, I guess. A little more on the sadder end with that last bit of ending text. But yeah, if you get the bad ending, it just basically no music. You do get credits, but there's no credits scroll. It's just like a static screen. And the credits fade in and out. So this is your reward for actually beating that final boss within time. You get a full credit scroll, and you get a nice ending theme. And so we'll go ahead and let this roll out. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and do a couple of the Caravan modes, which are pretty fun, actually. Now, I haven't played them in a while, so I'm not going to know the patterns or anything like that. So I'm probably going to end up dying quite a few times. But yeah, I'll show this off. But yeah, that was the main game of Star Soldier Vanishing Earth. Like I said, I think it's a really fun game that gets kind of overlooked. When you mention this in the more hardcore shmup circles, people kind of roll their eyes. But the fact is, I don't know if many people have actually really put a lot of time into this. And yeah, it's got some flaws. You know, the frame rate is not great, which makes, you know, movement and dodging a little difficult under certain circumstances. But that's where the memorization kind of comes into play. The game is also, again, based heavily around your roll functionality and your bomb attacks. So once you start taking advantage of those regularly, it kind of turns into a different type of shooter. It's not about fast-paced dodging so much as it is just knowing when to shield and, you know, when not to and whatnot. So there is actually a slight delay between shield uses as well. It's not like you can just keep mashing the shield button. There is a delay when you come out of a roll, and so you have to be able to learn how to time that, roll at specific times, so when you come out of it, you know, you'll have enough of a gap to be able to use it again without running into a bullet or an enemy or something like that. So there's definitely a thought process behind it. You don't just keep mashing it. But yeah, really, really fun game. I've actually been meaning to show this off for like 5 or 6 years now, and I just hadn't gotten around to it yet. But I finally buckled down, did a few practice runs over the last couple of weeks, and was finally able to knock it out for you guys. Although honestly, I was a little bit tired on this playthrough, so maybe I should have pushed it off another day or two when I was a little more well rested, but You know, it is what it is. You know, I think it was fine overall. Stumbled over my words quite a bit, which is usually a result of me not getting much sleep, but, you know, I'm only human. But yeah, we'll go ahead and just let this roll out further. We've got some highlights from the different sections of the game. I'd really like to see the other 2 secret missions. I haven't seen them since the late 90s when I first unlocked them. But I'll also have to check out some other playthroughs on this and see how people you know, unlock those levels. I thought I did the correct pattern on that second one, but maybe I'm just doing it at the wrong time. Or maybe I'm supposed to kill the red enemy first and then to kill all the green enemies. But on the first level, it's you kill the green ones and then you kill the red one last, and then that's what opens up the secret door. Good old Hudson, they got absorbed by Konami. I remember when the Konami and Hudson acquisition happened, everyone was like, oh no, Konami. But it turns out, Konami actually worked with Hudson for a very, very, very long time, which I didn't know this until recently, and so it actually made sense for them to just merge together. So, yeah, not all was lost with the Konami-Hudson acquisition. Yeah, so you can see Secret Path, you've got a bunch of green enemies there in the middle, and a red one. I assume you kill the red one, the red one last, and then the green ones first. I did that, but I seem to have failed. And then Mission 4, that one's a lot harder. If you kill the green ones first, the red ones kind of fly back in a staggered pattern, so it's not like they all sit out there at the same time. So it's very tricky getting the one on Mission 4. But, oh yeah, hopefully eventually sometime soon I'll be able to, you know, get these secret missions again. But, yeah, basically it gives you hints on those hidden levels, which is quite nice. Carrot on a stick. It's good game design. It gives you incentive to play again. Let's do 2-minute mode, and what I will do is I will do the green ship on this one. And then we'll do the 5-minute mode with the blue ship. It looks like I'm maxed out on firepower already. And this is the Caravan mode. This is basically like a straight scoring mode. I want to grab all the power-ups I can. This is my highest speed, by the way. Notice how slow this ship is. But that spread shot is actually quite nice. I should try to do a couple of full playthroughs with this ship in particular. See how I like it compared to the red one. Its spread shot is definitely wider than the red ship's spread shot. And we got these hidden icons called Zegs. I wonder if that goes back to... Ooh, I died. I wonder if that goes back to the original series as well. It's quite possible this is the best ship for scoring. You notice that my shots just go in pretty much every direction. Like, I can sit to the sides of enemies and still hit them. Still keep my chain combo going. It's actually probably really good on certain boss fights where you have to get up to the side. There are other shoot-'em-ups that have a similar chain combo kind of system. One of them is Dodonpachi by Cave, and apparently the blue spread shot ship in that game is like the best for scoring. I think because of its crazy spread and its ability to remain, you know, attacking enemies. I also really like that EX attack. It's quite nice. I got it just at the last moment. Yeah, so that's the 2-minute mode. It goes by pretty quickly, but it says level of achievement, 60%. I think that might be like distance in the level, as well as the amount of enemies that appeared and how many I actually killed. So, yeah, as you can see, the Caravan mode is just, it's something you just play again and again and again and try to just do better. Let's do the 5-minute mode, and this time we will play as the blue ship. You can see how the blue ship just like rips and tears through everything. And this is the medium speed. This medium speed, I'm about as fast as the highest speed with the red ship. Now this is the highest speed with the blue ship. It's pretty crazy. I can get all over the place. Oof! I died at the same spot again. We're getting what's called annihilation bonuses. I'm guessing just killing a bunch of enemies super quickly. I can only guess that's what that is, because there were clusters of enemies like right on top of each other. I was killing them all at the same time. Alright, on to the next part. Three minutes left. I do enjoy that this game has some voice acting. You know, some N64 games actually did that. The N64 sound hardware was actually not too bad, all things considered. And it was capable of some pretty good voice quality. The voice quality in this game is not great, but the fact that it's actually got voices and they're audible, you can tell what they're saying. It's pretty cool, especially for a shoot 'em up. It just shows that there was effort applied in this game, despite some of its deficiencies, like, you know, subpar frame rate. Well, I wouldn't even say the frame rate is subpar. It's not the best, but this game is perfectly playable. You know, it's just not ideal. It also makes me really wonder what this game would have been like on the PlayStation. The PlayStation's 3D capabilities were really, really good. You can even look at something like Raystorm, and it's actually visually more complex in this game, and it runs at like 60 frames a second. So I really would have loved to have seen what Hudson could have pulled off on the PS1 with this game in terms of frame rate. Man, those Zeg bonuses are worth a lot of points. And that's the end of the level. So ideally what you want to do is you want to try to get the boss's health down to a certain point and then just start milking the enemies that he's tossing out at you. To maximize your score. So you're basically trying to push the score as far as you can within that short period of time. So Caravan modes are kind of interesting. They've got their own unique addictive qualities to them. But yeah, that is the 5 minutes mode and the 2 minutes mode, and that's a quick demonstration of the various ship types. And that's pretty much it. And again, you also get passwords, and you could, back in the day, upload them online. I assume the website is long offline. Although I wonder if you can go to archive.org and if it still functions there. That would be interesting. I would assume it doesn't work, even if it's even if you can go to the website on archive.org. But yeah, guys, that was Star Soldier Vanishing Earth. That is pretty much going to do it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this playthrough. If you have any questions or comments, please post them down below in the comments section. Feel free to give the video a thumbs up as well. And just let me know you made it this far in the video. If there are any other kind of short, arcade-ish types of games you want to see like this, post them down in the comments section below. Maybe it's something I can get to in the future. And yeah, I'm just really glad I finally got to show this one off. I've been, you know, years ago I did practice sessions with the goal to, you know, do a let's play or now a quick play of this game. Along with like Viewpoint 2064, I actually did that. It's up on my channel from many years ago. I meant to do Star Soldier around the same time, and I just got caught up doing other things, and then before you know it, like a few weeks slip by, and then a few weeks turn into a few months, and then a few months turns into a few years, and then by the time you go back to a game like this, you have to relearn it from the ground up, because there is a little bit of memorization involved in this one if you want to be able to survive, especially those last couple bosses. When I did my practice session, I just got wrecked by the last 2 bosses, and so I quickly learned from my mistakes and knew, like, okay, boss was going to dive down, let me use the shield and go through it to the side. You know, stuff like that. So, you know, you do have to pick up on patterns like that if you want to be able to survive the last few parts of the game in particular. And there are a couple of earlier bosses too with sort of like gotcha patterns, like, haha, you didn't see that coming, did you, sucker? Now you're dead 3 times. So this game does have a little bit of that you do have to pick up on if you want to survive your way through the game. But yeah, just glad I got to show this off. I do, like I said, I've said it multiple times, but I do recommend this, especially to beginner players, but I feel like anyone that just enjoys the genre without trying to be too elitist about it should probably enjoy this game. It's a fun title. It's got some decent production value here and there. Like, again, all the cinematic camera angles and stuff like that. Very reminiscent of some of those late 90s shoot-em-ups like Gray Storm. And it's just a good time. Great soundtrack as well. Yeah, it's a good time. So, and it's a rarity on the N64. Like, there are not many shoot 'em ups on the N64 outside of various, you know, Golden Age era arcade compilations. You mainly have this, and you have Bangayo, which was just a Japanese only game that came out on Dreamcast in North America, and then you've got the Desemon games. Or is it game? I can't remember if there's 1 or 2 on N64, but they're basically Japanese shoot-'em-up makers, and they have you can make your own shoot-'em-up, but they also have a couple of pre-built games included. So, and that's about it. Space Invaders, that's a remake of a Golden Age era game. Not much else, you know, shmup-wise in the system, and so, yeah, it's slim pickings, but this is a good pickin', if you ask me. This is a good one. It's really fun, and I highly recommend it. Lots of replay value here with the different difficulty levels, the fact it saves all your scores to the cartridge, you know, the fact that you've got secret missions that you can try to unlock, and just, you've got the Caravan modes. It's a fully fledged package. Highly recommended. So, but alrighty guys, that's gonna do it for me. Thanks again for watching. If you're new to my channel, feel free to subscribe. And I've got more videos like this on the way, as well as plenty in the back catalog. If anyone gets bored, feel free to sift through that back catalog. But yeah, that's it guys. Thanks once again for watching, and I guess until the next one, take it easy.